All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. We are going to take a wild, seemingly totally useless tree wedged between a cluster of rocks and perform a literal botanical surgery on it. We're talking about unlocking some explosive potential here. We'll walk step by step through the mechanics of fruit tree grafting. It's this wild, fascinating journey of natural transformation. It takes real patience for sure, but the rewards? Absolutely incredible.
The whole mission here is turning something that seems completely useless into something truly valuable. I mean, picture a wild cherry tree, a scrubby, rogue little plant that somehow just managed to grow entirely by itself, wedged super tightly between heavy rocks. Most people walking by, they think it's completely useless, maybe even a nuisance you'd want to rip out. But by the time we finish up, that exact wild tree is going to be completely transformed. Through some careful botanical engineering, it's going to become a powerhouse that produces juicy, delicious food for your family year after year. That is the raw magic of grafting, and we're going to break down exactly how it works.
Okay, so the absolute secret to making this whole thing work, it all comes down to the cambium layer. When we prepare our scions, which, by the way, are just the little branches of the target fruit-bearing tree we want to attach, we have to make a perfectly straight, super clean cut. Why is that so absolutely crucial? Well, because we need to expose this very specific, incredibly thin, vital tissue layer lying just underneath the outer bark. You really don't need to cut deep at all. It's this fragile, paper-thin layer that actually allows the new graft to join, communicate, and completely fuse with our wild rootstock. Exposing this cambium layer cleanly is, without a doubt, the most challenging and critical part of the entire procedure. Miss this layer and the graft simply won't take. No way around it.
So how do we actually pull off this botanical surgery in the real world? Well, it follows a few really precise, methodical steps. First, you've got to cut the scion perfectly straight. Next, you carefully peel back that protective bark layer we just talked about to expose the cambium. Then you turn your attention down to the wild rootstock. You make 3 highly precise vertical cuts into the wood and gently separate the bark to create this snug little pocket. And the secret ingredient here? The tree's natural sap. As long as you time this right, like in early spring when the rootstock is actively moving sap, that bark will lift out smoothly and effortlessly. It's a surprisingly clean surgical process. You just carefully slip your prepared scion right into that new space.
But here's where strategy comes in. When you're prepping those scions, you face a major dilemma. How many buds do you actually keep? Every single bud represents potential new growth, right? But it's also a tax on the tree's resources. If you keep too many buds, you're going to rapidly drain the rootstock's energy. It just won't have the strength to pump enough nutrients for all of them, leading to weak, spindly branches. But on the flip side, if you play it super conservative and leave only one single bud, you're leaving yourself completely vulnerable. That lone bud could easily get snapped off by heavy winds, a passing bird, or a sudden frost. And boom, your entire graft is ruined, and all your hard work is wasted.
So the key to survival is finding the Goldilocks sweet spot. You want to leave exactly 2 to 3 buds on your scion. Doing this gives you an essential insurance policy. Backup buds, just in case one gets damaged by the elements or wildlife. But it's not so many that the rootstock gets totally overwhelmed trying to feed them all. It is the perfect balance of energy management and safety.
Now, once those scions are snugly placed into the rootstock, the surgery site has to be fiercely protected from the outside world. Regardless of the grafting technique you use, the seal around those fresh cuts must 100% airtight. By wrapping the area incredibly tightly with specialized grafting tape, we create an impenetrable barrier. And this step, totally non-negotiable. If outside air dries out the cambium, or if rainwater sneaks into those fresh cuts, rot and disease can set in, and the graft will almost certainly fail. You have to absolutely seal the deal to protect it while it heals and fuses together.
Now you might be wondering, why go through all this meticulous trouble with a rugged wild tree stuck in some rocks? Why not just buy a perfectly potted tree from a nursery? Well, we call it the established rootstock advantage. Because this wild tree grew naturally from seed right where it fell, its roots have spread out completely freely over the years. They are entirely uncut, unconfined, and completely undamaged. That means we aren't starting from scratch. We are tapping into a massive, already established underground root system with immense, untapped energy reserves just waiting to be redirected. It's an absolute game changer.
And this botanical surgery triggers a truly remarkable 100-day journey. It's like watching a time-lapse of nature in high definition. Day 1 is the surgery itself, full of potential. By day 17, progress might actually seem agonizingly slow, especially if the early spring weather is cold and rainy. But, patience pays off. As the sun comes out and temps rise, the tree's sap kicks into high gear. By the 100-day mark, we witness absolutely explosive spring growth. The scions shoot up dramatically. Just remember, a few months in, once this new growth is thriving, you have to go back and carefully slice away that restrictive tape so the new branch doesn't accidentally get choked out by its own protective bandage.
Of course, nature isn't perfectly predictable, right? Things don't always go according to the textbook. Sometimes one of the scions simply doesn't take. It just rejects the connection and fails to join the root system. And you know what? That is completely okay. Because this specific wild rootstock isn't overly massive in diameter, the 2 remaining successful scions are more than enough to capture all the tree's upward energy. The tree will adapt, and the canopy is still going to fill out beautifully. But to ensure those successful scions continue to thrive without any competition, we have to perform some vital maintenance. We have to constantly watch out for what we call suckers. Suckers are these aggressive new shoots that instinctively start growing directly from the rootstock below our careful graft site. If you leave them alone, these shoots act exactly like energy vampires. They will ruthlessly drain that massive rootstock strength away from our delicate new branches. So by rigorously cutting these suckers away, we force the tree to redirect all of that powerful root energy straight up into our new graft.
Along with continuously removing those energy-draining suckers, we also have to clean up the site of that failed scion. By coming in with some sharp clippers and carefully snipping away the dead wood where the scion didn't take, we give the tree the clean slate it desperately needs. This crucial cleanup step allows the tree to naturally form what is called callus tissue, which is essentially a thick botanical scab. This tissue slowly rolls over the exposed wood, completely sealing the wound, finishing its natural healing process safely and protecting the trunk from pests and rot.
The results after just 100 days are nothing short of miraculous. We took a rugged, ignored cherry tree stuck between harsh rocks and completely re-engineered it to eventually produce incredible sweet fruit. So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought. The next time you look out your own window or take a walk around your property, take a closer look at the wild brush. What seemingly useless rootstock in your yard is just waiting to be transformed? What hidden potential is growing right in your own backyard, just waiting for a little bit of botanical surgery?